Today we are celebrating that resurrection journey, that resurrection experience. And we've been using as our Lenten study Richard Rohr's book, The Universal Christ, throughout our Lenten season. And so today we are ending with the resurrection journey. And I just wanted to share one quote with you from Richard Rohr's book, because I think that to me speaks of what the resurrection is and is especially relevant, I think, to everything that we've been going through in these last few weeks. So this is what Richard Rohr tells us that the resurrection is. Resurrection is another word for change, but particularly positive change, which we tend to see only in the long run. In the short run, it often just looks like death. The resurrection, from Richard Rohr's words, change, positive change, but sometimes positive change that we can't even see in the moment. So here we are, celebrating Easter in a way that we have never celebrated it before, having an experience of the resurrection journey, each of us from our own homes and here on this live stream. And so I wanted to create as much as I could an experience that was familiar, an experience of ritual, because as you know, if we were at Unity Spiritual Center right here, right now in Unity Hall, we would be creating our living cross. So today we are going to do that a little bit differently. And I wanted to share with you some words that Reverend Kelly Isola has shared about the joy, the promise, the benefit of ritual in our lives. And so this is what Kelly has to say. Words, as we know, have power. We use words to express ourselves and explain our world, our relationships, and even God. Yet at times we know words can fall short. When this happens, we have still another language, the language of ritual. For thousands of years, we humans have come together to dance around the tribal fire, to engage in ritual. The times that we come together to worship are generally marked by ceremony or ritual, because it often helps us to feel connected to ourselves, to each other, and to the world. As we are led step by step through ritual, we experience union with the divine. Ritual binds us to creation, and this bond we experience the sacred. In every ritual is held two aspects, intention and action, the heart and the hand. Intention is the purpose of the ritual, and action is what we physically do. It's the acting out of our intention, the metaphysical embrace with God of our heart and hands. So how do we recreate ritual? How do we embrace change? How do we allow something new, something positive to emerge during this time? In Unity, you'll know that the Christ, that universal Christ that Richard Rohr speaks about, is that which is within all of us. We've been talking these last months of Lent about how that universal Christ is in all of creation. We have Christ-soaked creation. And so the idea that the Christ is resurrecting today is a little bit of a misnomer, a misunderstanding, because you see, the Christ is always resurrected. The Christ is always there. The Christ is always in creation, simply waiting for us to recognize it. So the resurrection occurs as we embrace and allow and accept the Christ here now in this moment, and allow it to be resurrected within us. That Christ that is always there, that Christ that is in all of creation. And so during this Easter day, what we're recognizing is that in the midst of whatever is unfolding, in the midst of the isolation, in the midst of the separation, in the midst of the illness, in the midst of the death, there is this hope that is Christ, that is eternally within us, eternally offering to us a way through, a resurrection journey, a resurrection experience. If we can move into this place of positive change, even if in the moment it looks like death, knowing that life is promised. So each of us have received that promise of life. Each of us have received that Christ Spirit. We received it the moment we were born, the moment we were conceived even, because that Christ is in all creation. So to recognize that Christ Spirit, I'm going to be leading us through a ritual. It'll be a little bit different than our typical ritual that we do of the Easter cross. And so what you've been invited to do was you were invited to find 12 things around your home. It doesn't matter what those 12 things are. It could be 12 jelly beans, it could be 12 chocolate kisses, 12 flowers, 12 paper clips. Doesn't matter what you have for this ritual, just 12 of something. And then you were invited to, you either printed out from our website a picture of the heart, or you could easily just draw a heart right now. It just needs to be a simple outline of a heart, just like that. I actually have been working on this for a few days, so I actually created the outline of the heart and then made it into a stained glass figure. I remember doing this as a child, and what this reminded me of is each of us individually, different colors, different shapes, different forms, but all one in this heart of Christ. So this is going to be my heart that I'm using. But whatever your heart looks like, have that there in front of you. If you're here as a family, you could either do this each individually or do this together. You and your children go through this experience together with one heart, whatever you decide. I've decided to use for my 12 items some daffodils. I actually picked these daffodils last week on Palm Sunday. We had some rain or something that night, and so as we were walking down the driveway, these daffodils were laying on the ground. They were obviously not going to be popping back up, so I decided to pick them that day. And today they're, starting to turn a little bit brown on the edges, and they've been almost a week old now, so they're not the freshest, but they are my reminder. I specifically chose them as my reminder that even in the midst of the death and decay, because these flowers, the moment they were picked, started to decay, but there is the promise of new life. As I use these flowers to create my heart, I am giving them life. And as I take these flowers afterwards and place them out in the garden to compost, they will give new life. It's this continual circle of life that occurs. That is why I chose these flowers to use for my heart this Easter. So whatever you have on hand, I just invite you to have that close by and ready to go. And I invite you to just take a breath with me this morning and to imagine yourself as that on that journey of resurrection. And on this journey of resurrection, to know that in this moment right here, right now, God is. As we've said, I am not alone. And I can choose in the midst of whatever is occurring, in the midst of the challenge, in the midst of the fear, in the midst of the desperation, in the midst of the hopelessness, in the midst of the tomb, I can choose to resurrect. As I remember that I have been given all that I need in this moment to meet this moment in grace. And that is through that Christ presence within, and through what unity teaches is our 12 powers. And so that is what we're going to do. Take a look at each of these 12 powers, and I put them in a little bit different order. I kind of thought about this. Where would I begin? And I decided that where I would begin would be with the power of wisdom. And so I am going to take one of my flowers, and that's going to represent my power of wisdom. Whatever you have for your item, hold that in your hand and allow that to be what it represents. The power of wisdom. Each of our 12 powers can be used to create or to destroy. Each of the powers we are always using, but we want to put them into alignment with being consciously used as that Christ presence that we are. So our power of wisdom is our ability to discern, our ability to judge. I chose this one first because it is so important to understand that you have this power of wisdom within you. That in those moments where you might be feeling afraid, feeling like you don't know your way, wishing that you knew where this was going to end and what the mystery was and how it would unfold, now you're in the tomb. But you can resurrect in the tomb by simply becoming aware that that Christ presence within you provides you with the wisdom to know right here, right now, on this day, what is mine? What is mine to think? What is mine to say? What is mine to do? You are connected to that divine power and presence within. And you can invoke this spiritual wisdom that is within you, that is a part of you, that has always been a part of you. I am wise. I allow that spirit of wisdom to be rising up within me, to guide my way, to support me in my choices, to support me in discerning. I am wise. I am wisdom. And I accept this wisdom and I place it upon my heart as that reminder of who I am in truth. Our power of wisdom. The next power is the power of love. And so taking that item in your hand and holding it to represent that love that you are, love and wisdom together make up that Christ spirit. It's that Christ energy, love and wisdom. You can imagine if love is not grounded in wisdom, it acts out in ways that are unhelpful. That's the love in the world, the love that we seem to fall in and fall out of. It's not grounded in wisdom. So love and wisdom go naturally together. So we can take this love that we are and we can remind ourselves here in this moment that we do not need to search outside of ourselves for that love. That would be keeping ourselves in the tomb. We can resurrect as we remember that that spirit of love is deep inside of us, guiding us, harmonizing ourselves, our lives, our relationships, everything in this Christ-soaked creation. And so I resurrect to love. I am love. I am loving. I am harmonizing. I give myself over to that power of love and allow myself to be resurrected. As you hold those ideas in mind, claim that love as you place your symbol onto your heart, onto the edges of your heart. The power of love. The next power that I want to speak about is the power of faith. I didn't start with faith on purpose, because I wanted to start with faith grounded in that wisdom and in that love. Because you see, we can put our faith in all kinds of things. We can put our faith in not enoughness. We can put our faith in separation. We can put our faith in greed. We can put our faith in all kinds of things in this human condition. Faith is always at work in our life. The question is, what have we placed our faith on? And so I choose to ground my faith in that loving wisdom that is the Christ. To see through faith-filled eyes, to know that God is present and active within this experience. It's not a matter of believing enough. We have enough belief. It's a matter of seeing through eyes with that belief. And so with faith, I see through the eyes of love. I see through the eyes of wisdom, and I see the possibility that is present here now in this moment. I am faith-filled. I am faithful. I see with faith-filled eyes as I see the possibility that is present in every moment. I resurrect in this journey as I place my faith in that good which is always here, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be revealed. I claim faith. And as you claim your faith, I invite you to put your object on the outer edges of your heart. As together we are creating this heart with our objects. The next power seems a little redundant because it's the power of power. The power of power. So much of the time we place our ideas of power on what the world tells us power is. Power is money. Power is a big house. Power is driving the right car. Power is having the right job. Power out in the world is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about our inner power. Our power to take charge of the thoughts that we're holding in mind. We are not stuck and limited in the tomb consciousness of worry, fear, doubt, lack, limitation, those monkey mind ideas that take over. You and I have the power to resurrect, the power to take charge of our thoughts, our words, our actions, so that our thoughts become hopeful. Our words become encouraging. Our actions become inspiring. You and I are the very power of God expressing uniquely and individually as each one of us. I am power. I am the power of God. I am the power and the presence of God creating my life, resurrecting my life uniquely and individually as God guides the way. I claim my power now and invite you to do the same as you place your object upon your heart. The power of power. The next power I'd like to talk about is the power of imagination. Even if you don't believe yourself to be a creative being, you are. You and I have this power of imagination that is always present and always active and always at work in our lives. Do you recognize the power of your imagination that you use when you worry? When you worry about anything in life, when you worry about your loved ones, when you worry about how long this isolation is going to last, when you worry about whether or not you'll get sick, when you worry, you are simply using the power of your imagination in a way that is not helpful and not constructive. Choose instead to place your imagination on seeing it right, as Eric Butterworth says. We have to see it right first. So let us invoke the power of imagination to see that every cell and every atom of our body is filled with that very life essence that is God, that is vibrating as wholeness, as holiness. To see that our loved ones are divinely guided in that wisdom, making right choices. To see that as a world and as a collective human consciousness, we are taking the opportunity at this time to heal those areas that need to be healed. This is the resurrection journey. This is imagination in action in a way that will resurrect us, that will renew us, that will revitalize us. I am imagination. I am imagination creating my good. I see it right so that I can then set it right. I claim my power of imagination and choose to utilize my imagination in ways that are uplifting and hopeful and filled with good. And with that, I invite you to place your object on the outer edges of your heart, claiming our power of imagination. Our next power is the power of understanding. And so as I gather my flower that will represent understanding, I want you to understand that God is standing under all of creation. We have the opportunity in every moment to place our understanding on the appearance of things, how hopeless it feels, how scary it is. We can place our understanding on the things of this world, or we can choose to resurrect in this moment and place our understanding on the idea that God is here, standing under it all. God has never left us. We are never alone. We are always in the presence of that divine creation that it began this all. That is where I place my understanding. And I invite you to claim understanding now. I claim understanding. I claim understanding in knowing that God is here. I claim understanding in seeing beyond appearances. I claim my understanding to be in this world, but not of this world. I claim that understanding of myself as that divine Christ being that I am. And I allow myself to recognize this and resurrect in this consciousness. And with that, I place my flower for understanding and invite you to do the same with whatever your object is on your heart. We move to the power of release. Because what I know is that we are all invited to know that we can release and let go of that which does not serve us. You know, when you've had this idea of, I can't help but worry, it's just the way I am. I was born to worry, or I was born with this or that or the other thing. Don't believe it, because we have been given the power to release every idea that does not serve us. So we are asked to exercise that power of release right here, right now. What is it that you need to let go of in order to fully resurrect as that Christ spirit that you are? What idea have you been afraid to release, to let go of, that you can now see has been holding you in the tomb rather than allowing you to resurrect in this moment, to be on this resurrection journey? I claim release. I claim the ability to release everything that does not serve me. I claim the ability to release every idea that is out of alignment with truth. I give it no further power. I am claiming my Christ presence, that presence that is within me. And as I claim that presence, I invite you and I to place on our heart that object. The power of will. The power of will is our power to choose. It's our power to know that we always have a choice. When we think, I don't know, I can't do it, we have just forgotten that we have this willpower within us to make that choice. Think about all of the things that we have chosen that are not healthy for us. We do it every moment. Well, not maybe every moment, but every day, right? We choose things that are not healthy for us. That's invoking our power of will in ways that are not helpful. So what I'm inviting us to is this idea that we can invoke this power of will to choose again, to choose to align with God, to choose to align our heart, to choose to resurrect as the Christ, to choose. You and I can claim that power to choose. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you were born or what your family was like. You have the power to choose to be resurrected today. I choose. I invoke the power of my will. I will allow myself to take in these ideas and see them in a whole new way, to resurrect myself as Christ today. And as I claim my power of will, I invite you and I to place our object upon our heart. The power of strength is our next power. I'm sure that you've heard it said that, there are things you realize that you've gone through in life that were just so hard to go through, and you wonder after you came through it, where did I ever find that strength to move through that? That's that power of divine strength that is within you. We use this power of strength sometimes in ways that are not helpful, like being stubborn is a way of using that power of strength. So we can be stubborn and cling to old ideas, cling to old thought forms, cling to old habits, cling to habitual thinking, cling to the status quo as a society and as an individual. Or we can choose to use that strength to support us in moving through whatever the situation may be. You have the power of strength within you, which is that divine presence within, uplifting you, supporting you, encouraging you, strengthening you. I am strong. This is the truth. I am strong in God. I am strong in that Spirit of God that is within me. I can persevere through this situation. I can persevere through whatever the situation is because I claim my strength right here, right now, that divine power of strength. As I invite you and I to put our object down upon our heart, claiming our strength. And as we live into each of these things, as we live into our faith and our love and our wisdom and our strength and our imagination and our will and our understanding, we allow perfect order to unfold. Divine order is the next power. Divine order occurs when I get still. When I do this, when I align myself with that divine power and presence within and listen for that divine idea that arises in every moment to support me through this moment. I catch that divine idea. It ignites within my mind and I allow that divine idea to move me into action. And now I become an active participant in divine order unfolding. Divine order isn't a giving up and saying, oh, well, God, you take care of this. Divine order is a listening deeply within to what is ours to do, to catch it and to bring it forth into expression. This will be the resurrection for us as we actively participate in divine order. I claim order. I claim the ability to order my thoughts, to order my words, to order my actions, that they might represent that good that God is calling me to today. That good of resurrecting in this moment. Join me in claiming order, divine order, as you place your object upon your heart. Our next power is the power of enthusiasm, the power of zeal. You know, that energy that is behind our creation. Now, we can get very enthusiastic about a lot of things. We can get enthusiastic about arguing for our limitations if we want, but that won't help us to resurrect. That will only keep us in the tomb. So I'm inviting us today to get enthusiastic about these ideas and ideals of spirituality, of knowing our oneness with God, knowing that we can resurrect in this moment, to embrace that with enthusiasm, to fill that with that energy of zeal. I am enthusiastic about this moment and this day because I know that this moment provides an opportunity for me to resurrect into my good. I claim this enthusiasm and I place my object on my heart. And finally, we have the power of life, that life-giving essence that is within us all. What are you and I giving life to on this day? No matter what it looks like in the world or even in your life at this moment, you have the power to claim the very life of God. You know that in unity we teach that God's intention and desire for each one of us is that we experience our good. And as we claim our good, as we embrace our good, as we allow our good, we allow ourselves to resurrect here now in this moment. I claim life, life, the very life that God has delivered me into, the very life that holds promise here now in this moment, the very life that is always seeking to express throughout all of creation, the very life that is moving the planets in their orbit, moving the blood in my body, that very life that is God. I claim it now as I place my flower here upon my heart. And you should now have a completed heart. I would raise mine up, but then all my flowers would fall off. But what I'm going to do is to take a picture of it when we're done and invite you to do the same. But as you look at this heart, I want you to look at each of the objects that you have placed around it. Think about what they represent, each of those powers within you. At this moment, we would, if we were in Unity Hall, be bringing our flowers up and placing them upon the cross, and then we would be raising that cross up. Well, clearly we can't do it in the same way this year. And I was thinking about, well, what would it look like? What would it look like to raise our cross this year? A couple of days ago, I went for a walk on Hinckley Reservation in the woods, and I was walking through the woods and I realized the life that was there, present everywhere, bursting forth even amidst the death, because there on the floor of the woods were leaves decaying, trees that had fallen over in the wintertime, branches that were dead, and yet new flowers were emerging and life was growing. And then I expanded my mind to think about all the new life that's occurring in this moment because of the actions that you and I are taking throughout this crisis to be that light, be that life of God rising up, resurrecting within, the challenge of this moment. And so I decided to raise our cross in a whole new way this year. And I have a video that I want to share with you. And I want you to, as you watch this video, to contemplate, how am I resurrecting? How am I raising up in this moment by claiming those 12 powers?
here we are at spring, at Easter, at the 444, the opening of the stargates, and even with the sheltering in, a time of renewal, a time of looking within to find our purpose. And I have chosen as my renewal to be living in the now. I've been watching these beautiful daffodils since the day they started emerging from the earth till all their glory now. Did they think back that if only it had rained more or less, that they would be more beautiful? Or did they worry that their beauty might not be perfect? Did at any time they delay their joy until their flowers bloomed? Were some of them jealous that their neighbors were in a bigger clump? Or maybe some were envious of the loners? No, I believe that each moment of every day these daffodils gave their very best, glorying in being alive and growing and experiencing the air around them, and grateful for the nourishment from Mother Earth. So this is what I choose at this time of renewal. I choose to live in the now, to be grateful for all the beauty, the warmth, the love, the nourishment to my soul in every moment, to trust that what is here now is exactly what I need to shine, to be beautiful, and to be alive. And I am grateful.
So that was my way of raising up our cross, our living cross, to recognize the light that is here, that is present, that is emerging. It is spring. It is glorious. So as I said, ritual has the intention first, the heart. So we have intended to connect to that divine power and presence. It's the vertical access of the cross. But we also know that a vertical alone is not enough. We have to move out. That's the horizontal access of the cross. So there also has to be the hand, the action. Communion is an opportunity for us to remember the action that we need to take. Communion has been present from the beginning of Christianity, as the early Christians, early followers of the way, actually, because they weren't even called Christians then, but the early followers of the way would come together and share an agape meal together, share in breaking bread together, share in a communion experience together. And as each of us takes our time to consider in this communion experience how we can connect to others, how we can embrace to others, we do what is ours to do. We are called to be. We are called to be so many different things through that action. And so as we prepare for our communion experience, I invited you to have a piece of bread or a cracker or a cookie. If you need to get that, you can. While you are doing that, or for those of you who already have that together, I'm going to invite you to invite Bonnie and Jerry back. And Bonnie is going to be singing for us, Called to Be, to represent that action that we are here to take.
During these times especially, I think we all are asking and questioning what is ours to do, and I think myself included, I've been very aware that I'm called to be things that are a stretch for me and things I have not done before. So this song by Faith Rivera is so perfect for the times, and we've sung it many times as a congregation. You're probably most familiar with verse 1, but there's actually 2 more verses, and I think especially today it is so appropriate. So whenever you know the words, just please sing along from home. We're called to be. I am called to be a healer for all humanity. I am called to be a dreamer, believe in what can be. I am called to be
We are called to be peace. We are called to be joy. We are called to be love for one another. This is the horizontal reaching out of the cross. And our daily word today reminded us that it was in the breaking of the bread that they saw him. It was in the breaking of the bread that the women recognized Jesus for Jesus. And so this is what we are called to remember as we engage in this next portion of our service, which is our communion time. Our communion time, which is the breaking of the bread, which is the agape feast. It's the coming together to recognize the Christ in one another. Bread has been used as food. I looked this up for almost 15,000 years. 15,000 years that humanity has been breaking bread with one another, gathering around the fires with one another, sharing meals together. And so as we consider the breaking of the bread this morning, I'm sharing that with you so that you can recognize that here we are, just here in this moment, our unique place within humanity, this humanity that has been going on for thousands of years. And we are here now at this time, resurrecting up, standing on the shoulders of all those who have come before us, doing our part today to recognize that Christ Spirit. Within the bread, there is so many things to consider. You know, that wheat that was harvested, the grain, whatever makes up your bread, that was harvested, that was growing out in the fields, that is gathered up, you know, the fire from the sun and the air and the water from the rain, and then the earth, the elements that are within the earth, the nitrogen and the calcium and all of those different elements that are taken up through the roots into that grain that is then picked, harvested by hands, ground by other workers, making it into this bread that made its way into your home today. And that's the same whether it's a piece of bread or a cookie or a cracker, right? It's that understanding that it is here today because of the hands that went to work to create this and because of nature that went to work to create this. It is all together a living bread. And this is our idea that we're holding as we break this bread together. While we cannot be together in the same physical location, we are together here virtually and together in consciousness. And so as we break bread together, as we share in this agape feast together, we do so remembering how we are a part of this eternal flow of life that began at the beginning, that began with that big bang, that began with the cosmos and has been evolving to this point today. And as I invite you and I to share in the breaking of the bread, I invite you to do so, opening yourself up to the idea that in the breaking of the bread, I see him. So if you're there breaking the bread with yourself, see that you yourself are breaking this bread and seeing that Christ Spirit within you. If you're there at home breaking bread with others, recognize that this is your opportunity to break bread and to see that Christ Spirit within others. It was in the breaking of the bread that they recognized Jesus. And it is in the breaking of the bread that we symbolically recognize our connection to all of life and to that Christ Spirit within. And as you and I take the time to have this communion experience, to break bread together, I'm going to invite Eric back one more time as he shares the song, Beautiful City. Know that we are creating a beautiful city as we break bread and see the Christ within all.
Out of the ruins and rubble, out of the smoke, Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of men. When your trust is all but shattered, when your faith is all but killed, you can give up bitter and battered, or you can slowly start to build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but finally a city of men. A city of men.
We are building a beautiful city, and I want you to know that you and I put the sacredness within it. Not that it's always there. The sacred is always there, but you and I get the choice to see the sacred within it all. And in that, we create the sacred. We allow the sacred to be revealed through us. And as that, we allow the resurrection to occur in this moment and in every moment. I wanted to share just a few more words from Father Rohr. So many beautiful words in his book, The Universal Christ. He says, Christianity's true and unique storyline has always been incarnation. If creation is very good at its very inception, how could such a divine agenda ever be undone by any human failure to cooperate? Very good sets us on a trajectory towards resurrection, it seems to me. God does not lose or fail. That is what it means to be God. People of the light will quite simply reveal a high level of seeing, both in depth and in breadth, which allows them to include more and more and exclude less and less. That is the only proof they will ever offer us, and the only proof we should ever need. We had imagined that resurrection was just about Jesus, and then we found ourselves unable to prove it. Nor could we always find this abundant life within ourselves. But now, you have been told about the eternal Christ who never dies and who never dies in you. Friends, let us allow this Easter morning to let that eternal, ever-present, universal Christ to be born, to be resurrected within us once more, so that we can get about doing the work that is ours to do within this moment to create the kingdom of heaven here on earth. It's Easter, so you might think, oh, maybe we'll get a break from our homework, but no. Easter is the perfect day to practice. And so I have a practice for you. Our spiritual practice today involves taking time to meditate and contemplate the idea that I am on a resurrection journey, fully supported through Christ in me. Throughout your day, I'm inviting you to pause and consider whatever it is that you're experiencing, that this is a part of that resurrection journey. I am fully supported in this because that Christ is in me. Those 12 powers are within me. I claimed those powers and I am resurrected through those powers. What would it look like to be that Christ resurrecting in every moment? And as your wisdom guides, to follow that guidance. Be an expression of resurrection every moment, this day, this week. What a joy to be together for this Easter experience. And I am so grateful that you have chosen to join me today and to participate, to create your own hearts. I invite you to take a picture of your heart and do it today, like as soon as the service is done, take that picture and send it to me right away. RevJoanne@unityspiritualcenter.com is my email address. What I'm expecting is you're all going to send me the pictures that you created here of your hearts, and that I next week will put those together in a collage, and we'll have a second raising of our living cross, because I'd love to raise up that collage and show you all of your pictures, all of our hearts, and what they look like uniquely and individually, and to know with you that together we are claiming this. So we have had this morning an opportunity to have special music. Thank you, God, for technology with Bonnie and Jerry and Eric. We've had the opportunity to have prayer with Jack. We've had an opportunity to have some ritual and hear a message and raise our living cross for 2020. And now it's time for our practice of generosity. I am so grateful for the generosity that continues to flow through you to Unity Spiritual Center Westlake. We stand in faith that God is our source, and we know that you have been open channels of good, allowing God's good to flow through us. We are on solid ground because of the support that you continue to extend to Unity Spiritual Center Westlake. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to give you an opportunity to give again today. While we are not in service, we have many opportunities to give, many ways to give. And so I wanted to share with you some of those ways. If you are watching this on Facebook Live, you can donate right there through Facebook Live. There should be a donate button attached to this stream. And if there's not a donate button attached to the stream, there's a donate button attached to our page. So feel free to donate on Facebook in any way that you see that donate button. If you are on our website, on our live stream page, there's a donate button there on our website. So you are free to give through our website as well. I invite you to join in text to give, which is one of my favorite ways to do it because it's so easy. You just have to text 84321 with your amount and send that off. The first time there's a little bit of setup, but after that I just text in that amount and send it off every time. So easy. 84321 is our text to give. And of course, I'm so grateful for those of you who have continued to write checks and send those through the mail. And everyone is invited to do that too, if that's what works for you. So 23855 Detroit Road in Westlake, Ohio, 44145, if you'd like to send those in. In whatever ways that you are choosing to give, I just invite you to get still for a moment with me and place your hand over your heart as we once more remember that divine power and presence of God is here. And our affirmation for our time of offering today is, God is my unfailing source. And I invite you to say that with me. God is my unfailing source. And one more time, God is my unfailing source. And so it is. And as we take time for our